Welcome to this episode of Let's Talk Someone Six Sports. My special guest is Ryan, and we will be talking some Bills football.
How you doing, Robbie?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about the game between the Bills and the Tennessee Titans. How do you think the Bills will do against the Tennessee Titans defense?
You know, Tennessee, I kind of compared them to Pittsburgh a couple days ago in a way that they are a super well coached team. Mike Vrabel is a really good coach. They're really disciplined, and even if all the talent's not there, they do a really good job of doing what they're supposed to do. Jeffrey Simmons is probably the second or third best defensive tackle in the NFL behind Aaron Donald, had 2 sacks last week. Kevin Byard is kind of like their Jordan Poyer, plays really good coverage, plays probably one of the best safeties in the box in the entire league, and can play a little bit of everywhere, play in the slot, play outside, play free safety. He can do a little bit of everything. And then Danico Autry on the inside next to Jeffrey Simmons had 13 sacks last year. They got talent. Their talent is kind of in the front end and in the back end of that defense. At safety, Amani Hooker is a really good safety. So it's a better defense than I think people realize, especially with how well they're coached. But when you look at where they're weak, Kristen Fulton's going to be out next week, is going to be out on Monday. They're starting cornerback. Caleb Farley, who they drafted in the second round last year, I think, hasn't quite been what they wanted him to be. And even with Gabe Davis possibly being out, that's still going to be a lot for that secondary to ask them to cover. When you have Stephon Diggs, you assume Khalil Shakir will probably be active. Jamison Crowder, Isaiah McKenzie. There's still a really deep receiving core, and obviously Josh Allen throwing the football. So I think we should expect some fits. I think, I don't think it's going to be as much of a breeze as it was last week versus the Rams, which, God, does that feel so long ago, even though it was only 10 days ago here. But, I don't expect the same level of success, but I think it's still going to be, I think the Bills offense is still going to be able to do, for the most part, what they want to do with Tennessee.
How do you think our defense will do against their offensive line?
Well, obviously, they lose Roger Saffold, but, this is still I think one of the things that get lost last year in the fact that Derrick Henry gets hurt is that the guys they have coming up, who the running backs that stepped up in their spot did just as good as him. Now, Hilliard is going to be out, who's kind of their pass catching back, played a little bit more than they normally did. Derrick Henry, coming off injury, we know how running backs age, but we also know Derrick Henry's given us a lot of problems in the past too. So, that's the big thing is it seems whenever we play Tennessee, we get out physical. And one of the places that might be of a concern is Ed Oliver's going to be out. Tim Settle's going to be out. So we're going to be relying on Daquan Jones and Jordan Phillips to step up and play a big spot. So if you start to think about where this game could go wrong, it could be something like that. The defensive line gets pushed around because we're injured. We've had history with not really being able to contain Derrick Henry. So that's going to be a big thing. Again, this is still a deeper defensive line unit than we've had in the past. And, Von Miller makes up for a lot of that. Gregory Rousseau, another year older, one of the best, is already, a borderline elite run defender from the edge. So that helps out too. So I think, again, I think we're not going to be able to shut down the run, I think, as easily as we were against the Rams. I don't think we'll get home all the time as easily as we did against the Rams. Derrick Henry will have a big run somewhere in this game, but this is why you have a deep plan. I think we'll still see a lot of pressure. I think Von Miller will be in the backfield a ton, and again, it's even with them out, it's going to be hard for Tennessee to move the ball.
Do you think the Bills will put up 30 or more points on the Titans?
I like this question. That's a good one because that's kind of we've come such a long way that it used to be that 30 points wasn't the norm, and now it's the norm. We expect 30 points every game. And again, I keep thinking about the injuries. I think with Gabe Davison, you know, I don't have any concern. I think if Gabe Davis is out tomorrow and Mike Garofalo is reporting that he'll probably be out tomorrow, he injured his ankle in practice, that I think it might be hard to get to that 30. Again, I think this is a game where if the Bills get up, not that this is necessarily their MO, but, they're not going to start running the ball a ton. I think they might try to take the air out of the ball, a little bit shorter passes, try to control the game clock because they're gonna be out without Gabe Davis and without so without Gabe Davis and with how good that Tennessee defense is, I think it'll be a little harder to get to 30. So I give it a soft maybe because Gabe Davis was a huge part of their offense on last Thursday, and I think they factored in to be a big part of their offense, and to have him get injured so close to game time, I think it's going to throw a wrench into their game plan.
Are the Bills gonna be a playoff contender for the next 3 seasons?
Oh, absolutely. I think you look at what Kansas City had to do this offseason, right? Patrick Mahomes got expensive. You have to let Tyreek Hill walk. So they retool. One of my favorite football shows, athletic football show, Robert Mays and Nate Tice do a really good job of talking about this, how they had to retool. They had to move on from Tyreek Hill because they couldn't afford that. Wasn't good roster, salary cap allocation to pay that much to an aging guy like Tyreek Hill, who's still really good, like we saw today, but is nearing 30. So they retooled. They moved on, got draft picks, drafted Sky Moore, who doesn't look quite ready yet, but they retooled, and they're still going to be one of the best teams in football because they have Patrick Mahomes. In the same way, Josh Allen, second best, third best, best quarterback, wherever you want to put him, top 3 quarterback in the NFL right now. As long as they have him, they're always going to be a playoff team, barring catastrophe, barring football doing weird things. But they're always going to be a playoff team as long as Josh Allen's quarterback. Now, one of the things that I think why this year is so important to try to go and win it all, because next year Josh goes from making $16 million this year to $39 million next year, and that changes the way you build your roster. There may be guys that we're going to have to let walk. Devin Singletary, one of them. Maybe Tremaine Edmonds is another one. Jordan Poyer might be another guy that we have to see let walk, and we kind of have to retool what this roster looks like. And there'll be some ebbs and flows. So there may be years where the Bills take a step back because they're going out to get younger players. They're going out to get cheaper. But as long as 17 is the quarterback and he keeps playing like he's the first, second, or third best human playing quarterback on the planet, they're always going to be a playoff team.
Do you have any questions?
Well, what are your plans for the game tomorrow? Do you watch it at home? Are you going to the game? Do you go out to watch the game? What are your plans for the game tomorrow?
I mean, I'll be watching it with a few friends maybe, and hoping that to see a good performance out of the Bills.
Now, do you have a player in mind that obviously who's a player you think is going to be a difference maker for the Bills? Someone maybe people aren't thinking of tomorrow, or I guess today, because this is gonna air around game time. So today, I should say, who do you think is gonna be a difference maker that maybe people aren't thinking about?
Maybe like Singletary would be one of them, and maybe Isaiah McKenzie.
I like that one. I like the wide receivers. I was kind of thinking in the same breath. I think we're going to see Khalil Shakir active. If Gabe Davis is out tomorrow, I think we're going to see Khalil Shakir active, and I think we're going to see him get an active role if he's activated. So I think he could be someone that we saw how good he looked in the preseason. We heard how good he looked in camp, and I think he's a guy, if active, he's going to get a real chance. He might get a chance to really impact the game on Monday.
Yeah, I think he would um be like a good option for Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think it's I think I'm not. It sucks that Gabe Davis might be out, could be out. I'm sure by the time the Sabres will probably know whether he'll be in or out. But even if he's in, might be a little bit limited. So guys like that, and then you know, I hope the one thing I really hope is that they give Devin Singletary. I like that you said Devin Singletary. One of the big things in the cover one chat we have is we've been talking about giving Devin Singletary a bigger role. So I hope they really lean into giving him a bigger role and just letting him be the workhorse. Because when he gets the ball, he looks phenomenal of late. Ever since going back to about halfway through last year, he's looked phenomenal when he gets the lion's share of the load there. So I like you said Devin Singletary because I hope he has a big game, and we've seen what happens when you give him a lot of carries.
Yeah, I hope like they can give Singletary a little bit of more of a role in the offense and maybe like in the red zone or something.
Yeah, yeah, him, and who knows? Maybe James Cook is out of the doghouse, and maybe James Cook is out of the doghouse. We get a little bit of James Cook. Maybe we get some more rookies involved in the game. Maybe we see Terrell Bernard get some snaps because maybe with Derrick Henry running, we try to go with another linebacker out there. So maybe it's a big game for the rookies. That'd be nice.
Um, what would your score prediction be for the game today?
My score prediction, I'm gonna go 31. I'm gonna go 31-24 Bills. I think Tennessee will cover. I'm gonna go that, but I'm gonna say it's not gonna be as close as the score says. I think Buffalo gets out and then they coast a little bit. Tennessee maybe gets a late touchdown or late field goal to make it look closer than it really is. But I just think Bills are, even without, like I said, I keep saying it, even without potentially without Gabe Davis or with a limited Gabe Davis, this team is still just way more talented. Tennessee doesn't have a ton of pass catchers. They traded AJ Brown. I just don't think they have the offensive firepower, even if Derrick Henry has a big game, to really run with the Bills. So I'm going 31-24. Titans cover, but Bills win in what should be pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean I'm thinking like 20 28 to 21 in favor of the Bills. Because they might not have Gabriel Davis and they don't have like Ed Oliver or Tim Settle
Yep.
on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep. I think we're right around the same spot. I think yeah, we have the same idea there.
Yeah, and like
And the injuries, they're gonna play a role. They're going to, excuse me, and you can never count out Tennessee, right? Every game the Bills play against Tennessee seems to be a close game. They always seem to be a little bit weird. Even going back, you go to 2019, really defensive game. Duke Williams comes in, gets a game-winning touchdown. You go to 2020, that weird, what was it, a Tuesday or Wednesday game because of COVID, that the Bills get run out of the house. And then last year with the stop fourth down that works, the stop quarterback sneak on fourth down that works 99.9% of the time. And these Bills, it's a little budding rivalry between the Bills and Tennessee. They played 3 or 4 straight years here, and they always seem to be weird. At least weird. I can't say they're all big competitive because they got blown out in 2020, but they always seem to be weird games. There seems to be a real kind of animosity between these two teams too. Taylor, you think about guys at Tennessee who love to talk crap, Taylor Lewan, and they really take on the personality of their head coach and like Vrabel. And you can never count on a Tennessee team the same way. Like I said, I compared them to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, no matter how bad they have Mitch Trubisky as a quarterback right now, and they're still playing teams. They beat Cincinnati. They keep it close with New England. Same way with Tennessee. I think regardless of how bad their roster is, Mike Vrabel is going to make them be competitive. But at the end of the day, this is a team that lost to the Giants. and a team that is just not the quality of roster that they had last year and previous years. So that's why I think ultimately all that fight that Mike Vrabel brings to them just won't be enough to help run with the Bills in this game.
Do you think that, like, since it's the Bills' home opener today, do you think that, like, the fans are gonna make the stadium loud?
Oh, I'm sure. I really wish I was there. The games like this make me sad that I moved out of Western New York, because I'm sure that that game is going to be absolute crazy. I can't think of, one of the nice things about this team that I've noticed is every couple games it's like, man, I can't think of a game with this much hype, And like, I can't think of a home opener that's had this level of excitement, right? We've talked ourselves into being excited for Rex Ryan teams. We've talked ourselves into being excited for Ryan Fitzpatrick's teams. But this is a home opener coming off routing the defending Super Bowl champs in their home on a Monday night nationally televised game. Doesn't get a whole lot bigger than that. So I can only imagine. I was talking to my mom today, who's going to the game, and she's trying to get there as early as possible so she can get into the parking lot and get her spot, make sure she doesn't miss any of the game or any of the warm-ups or anything. So, I think it's I was at the last home game. I was at the Bills-Patriots playoff game, and that was pretty ruckus and pretty loud and pretty crazy. So I got to imagine if it's going to be pretty close to that on Monday night.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it kind of affects Tennessee, like with the crowd noise and everything.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing. You talk about home field advantage, and hopefully, maybe we can steal a couple false starts, steal a couple delayed games, get in their heads level, make them go to silent count. One of the things that, going back to that Patriots game, which I think was the craziest game I've ever been to, you get a touchdown on that first drive, you get a stop on that first drive, you make sure that crowd never gets out of it. Really, it does. It impacts the game, and the fans are really going to have an opportunity on tomorrow today. I keep saying tomorrow today to impact the game and really make the game hard for Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee offense.
Do you have any other questions before we wrap it up?
No, I don't think I have any questions. This has been really awesome. I know we chatted a few times. I'm glad to finally get to meet you. I'll do my little plug here. Make sure you check out stuff over at Cover One. Got a lot of cool stuff going. A lot of art. I do mostly writing over there. I come out with an article or two a week. So yeah, check us out over Cover One. We got a one pass going, $57 for the year. You'll get a free you'll get a t-shirt with it. Access to a lot of cool things. Greg does, little salary cap 101s. Eric does, if you want to learn about technique and coverages and blocking technique and stuff like that, Eric does a lot of really cool 101 videos on that kind of stuff. So go over to Cover One, check it out. So that's my plug.
And where can my listeners if they wanted to follow you?
At SportsRot2 on Twitter is where you can find me.
Thank you for tuning in or listening to this episode of Let's Talk Someone Say Sports. Thank you to my special guest, Ryan, and go Bills.
Go Bills.